The clock on Maya's laptop read 2:17 a.m. Her room was lit only by the aggressive white glow of 3 screens: her phone, her tablet, and the dim backlight of her gaming PC. She wasn't gaming, though. She was performing the nightly ritual of maintenance that defined her social life, preserving her snap streaks. Maya, a 20-year-old college student whose major was still listed as undeclared, lived for engagement. Her Snap score was astronomical, a badge of honor reflecting the thousands of fleeting, 24-hour glimpses she provided into her manufactured life. Her most prized possession wasn't her expensive camera or her vintage denim jacket, but the 412-day flame emoji next to her best friend Chloe's name. The streaks had to live. They were digital proof of friendship, of existence, of momentum. Tonight, however, the ritual felt laborious. She scrolled through her friends' list, sending a generic, "good night" snap of her ceiling fan to 27 different people. Then, a notification popped up at the very top of her screen. A small, flickering icon next to the search bar. It wasn't the usual update alert. It was a new filter notification, but the icon itself was wrong. It wasn't a cheerful rainbow or a dog's ear. It was a perfect, unmoving circle of dead black, like a hole punched in the vibrant interface. The title above it was even stranger: The Blind Spot. Curiosity, that eternal siren of the internet, yanked her forward. She tapped the icon. The camera immediately activated. Instead of the usual smooth shift, the screen flickered violently, displaying a flash of pure static, an old-school TV snow, before settling on her face. It was unlike any filter she had ever seen. It didn't augment her face, replacing her nose with a puppy snout or her eyes with anime stars. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but deeply unsettling. It applied a faint, cold blue tint to the room, making the familiar posters on her wall look like they were covered in a film of ice. But the main effect was in the corners of the frame. The filter seemed to compress the peripheral vision of the camera, creating a dark, grainy vignette around the edges. When she moved her phone, the vignette didn't follow the movement perfectly. It lagged, creating a stuttering shadow that framed her. She tried a snap. She gave a small, forced smile, hit the shutter, and then sent it to Chloe with the caption, "New filter is creepy AF." Thoughts? Almost immediately, Chloe replied. A chat bubble appeared. "OMG Maya, where are you? That snap looks like you're taking it in a morgue. Super weird blue light." Maya frowned. "A morgue? It's just my dorm room." She sent back a photo of her room without the filter. See? Normal. Just the filter. Chloe's next chat was a voice memo. Maya tapped it. Chloe's voice, usually bubbly, was hushed. "Dude, seriously, look at the first snap again. Look behind you. Way in the back, in the shadow to the right of your closet door. It looks like a pair of eyes reflecting the light. They're just dots, but they are absolutely glowing. Did you notice?" A cold wave washed over Maya. She had not noticed. The peripheral distortion, the blind spot, was exactly where the shadow was deepest. She opened the first snap again. She zoomed in, pixel by pixel, dragging her thumb carefully over the grainy vignette area. And there they were, 2 tiny, intensely white pinpricks, low to the ground, reflecting the blue-tinted flash from the phone. They looked like the eyes of an animal caught in headlights, but they were too close to the floor to be a cat, and too widely spaced to be a raccoon. They were spaced like a person's eyes, crouching low. Maya's breath hitched. She spun around, phone still in hand, shining her screen light into the corner. Nothing. Just a pile of old laundry and the closed door of her closet. "It's the filter," she typed back, her fingers trembling. "It has to be some kind of glitch. Maybe it puts in random creepy stuff." "Chloe, check the creator. See what the description says." Maya went back to the filter selection screen. She tapped the icon for the blind spot. The usual information box popped up, but the details were missing. Creator. Error. Data not found. Uses. Oh, wait. If she had just used it, why was the count 0? Description. And what you don't see, sees you too. A shiver of genuine fear traced its way down her spine. This wasn't a popular AR filter from a major studio. It felt like something else. For the next week, Maya tried to ignore the blind spot, but it was like a black hole pulling at her feet. She deleted the filter, but it kept reappearing every few hours in her list of recently used. The fear was intoxicating, and eventually, the urge to see what the filter knew overcame her caution. She was alone in the student common room on a Friday night, studying for a sociology midterm. The common room was a large, open space with high ceilings and huge windows facing the nearly deserted quad. It felt safe, brightly lit by fluorescent tubes. She activated the blind spot. Her face was immediately framed by the familiar icy blue light and the stuttering black vignette. She took a snap of her textbook, but instead of the book, she rotated the camera quickly to include the whole room. She looked at the preview. The room was empty, save for her. But in the background, by the emergency exit sign that was always buzzing faintly, the filter had rendered a figure. It was tall, impossibly thin, and draped in what looked like heavy black fabric, a coat or maybe a robe. It was standing absolutely still, staring directly at the camera. The entity had no discernible features, just an absence of light, a silhouette darker than the shadows around it. What truly terrified Maya, however, was what appeared in the snap map location indicator at the bottom of the screen. When she used a normal filter, the map showed her Bitmoji avatar sitting happily at her exact GPS location, Student Union Common Room. But with the blind spot, the map had changed. Her avatar was gone. Instead, there was a single, tiny, pulsating white dot at her location. And then, off in the distance, maybe 2 miles away in the industrial section of town, another marker appeared. It wasn't a friend. It wasn't a random person. It was a large, jagged, dark red symbol that looked vaguely like a cracked mirror or a broken eye. As she watched, the red symbol moved. It wasn't a jump or a teleport. It was a smooth, organic slide, coming closer. It sees me. And it knows where I am. Maya deleted the snap, slammed her laptop shut, and sprinted back to her dorm. She spent the entire weekend trying to rationalize it. A complex AR prank, a deep fake filter designed to look like a genuine sighting, or even just a very vivid hallucination caused by stress and caffeine. But the filter wouldn't leave. Every time she opened Snapchat, there was the unmoving black circle, waiting. She decided to test it scientifically. Monday morning, she walked into the brightly lit, crowded cafeteria. She sat down at a table full of people. Total safety in numbers. She opened the snap camera and selected a random flower crown filter. The map showed her Bitmoji sitting with a coffee cup. Normal. Then, with her hand shaking, she selected the blind spot. The cafeteria noise seemed to drop out. The screen went icy blue. She took a snap of the table. Her friends were laughing, oblivious. When she reviewed the image, she saw him. This time, the figure was closer, clearer, and more disturbing. He was sitting at the adjacent table, which was currently occupied by 3 freshman girls. In the filter, the girls were gone, their chairs empty, their food tray floating in midair. Only the dark, robed figure was there, sitting directly across from her. Its head was cocked slightly, as if listening to a conversation that only it could hear. And on the snap map overlay, her white dot, and the jagged red symbol, now only half a mile away, located just outside the campus perimeter. She looked up instantly. She scanned the adjacent table. Freshman girls, giggling, scrolling through their phones. Nothing else. She didn't wait. She grabbed her backpack and ran out of the dining hall, ignoring the confused calls of her friends. The terror wasn't just in the images, it was in the metadata. The snap map. That was the real hook, the terrifying functionality. The filter wasn't creating a monster, it was revealing a stalker who was using her location, broadcast willingly via the map, but viewing it through a cursed lens that stripped away reality. Maya went home for Thanksgiving break, hoping the physical distance would break the digital link. She was staying in her childhood house, 40 miles from campus, deep in the quiet suburban sprawl. She turned off her snap map. She turned off location services entirely for the Snapchat app. She put her phone in airplane mode, then inside a metal tin box in her dresser. For 2 days, she felt a measure of peace. She baked cookies with her mother, watched old movies, and read a physical book. She successfully avoided the need for a single streak preservation snap. On the third night, the paranoia gnawed at her. She had to check. Had to know if the filter was gone, if the distance had broken the curse. She retrieved her phone from the tin. She disabled airplane mode. The moment the phone connected to Wi-Fi, it burst into life with hundreds of notifications. She held her breath and opened Snapchat. The notification was there, flickering at the top of the search bar. The blind spot. She tapped it, confirming her deepest fear. The digital link was not based on proximity. It was based on her device. She opened the camera. The blue light, the stuttering vignette. She stared at her face. For a brief moment, her eyes in the filter seemed sunken, black, and leaking a slow, viscous fluid, but then it vanished, a perfect reflection of a terrified Maya remaining. She quickly took a snap of her reflection in the large mirror on her dresser. It was a full-body shot of her, standing alone in her bedroom. She reviewed the snap. The dark, tall figure was standing directly behind her, shoulder to shoulder, slightly hunched over. Its featureless head was visible just over her right shoulder. But that wasn't the worst part. The snap map overlay at the bottom was active, despite her disabling location services. The white pulsating dot, her marker, was correctly placed. Maya's childhood home, living room. Wait, living room. She was in her bedroom. The filter was not just reading her GPS. It was reading the specific location metadata of the photo and misreporting it, suggesting the photo was taken somewhere else in the house. She looked at the red symbol. It was now in the suburbs. It was barely 2 miles away. "This is it," she whispered, her voice a dry rasp. It followed me. It followed the device. She saw the symbol start to move along the residential streets. Smoothly, relentlessly. She could almost feel its eyes on the back of her head, seeing her through the phone, the filter, the digital tether. She deleted the snap. She didn't want the evidence. She didn't want the connection. She ran downstairs, her heart hammering against her ribs. Her parents were out at a friend's house. She was alone. She grabbed the house keys and her car keys. She was going to run. She was going to break the tether. She was going to get out of the house and drive until her phone died. As she reached the front door, her phone buzzed one last time. A message. From Chloe. It wasn't a snap. It was a chat. Chloe, 3:01 a.m. Maya, I just opened the map. Why are you on my Snap map? Your avatar is gone, but there's this weird red crack icon. ... It's exactly where I am right now. Did you tag me in a snap or something? It's moving around inside my house. I'm literally staring at my living room floor. Maya froze, her hand hovering over the deadbolt. The terror was not for her, not entirely. It was for Chloe. The red symbol wasn't tracking Maya's device. The filter had moved the digital link. When she ran away, the link didn't follow her. It jumped to the person she had last interacted with via the filter, Chloe. But why did Chloe see the red cracked eye? Maya had always seen her own marker as the white dot, and the stalker's marker as the red cracked eye. Maya quickly opened her own Snap map, ignoring the cold dread that the action itself would alert the entity. She zoomed in on Chloe's location. There was Chloe's house. And inside, there were two markers. One was the pulsating white dot. It was moving, quickly, across Chloe's living room floor. The other was Chloe's Bitmoji avatar. The Bitmoji was static, standing stock still in the kitchen, but its expression was twisted into a grotesque mask of shock and pain. And in the tiny thought bubble above its head, a single word: help. Maya's vision swam. The filter wasn't just an AR prank. It was a transfer mechanism. The entity wasn't stalking Maya. It had infiltrated her device through the filter, and it had used her last contact, Chloe, as its new target. And Maya was the white dot. She was the one broadcasting her presence to Chloe, revealing the path of the entity that was now using her digital identity. The snap of the figure behind her in the mirror. The filter had revealed the entity using her device, wearing her profile, tracking Chloe. She looked down at her own device. The home screen was still on the Snap map. She heard a sound from the living room behind her. A single, quiet, scraping noise. Like a fingernail dragging across dry wood. Maya glanced at the Snap map again. The red cracked eye symbol was still there, 2 miles away from her. She was the white dot at Chloe's house. The entity was the red cracked eye 2 miles away from her. She realized the chilling truth. The filter didn't track a victim. It created a digital clone that became the victim, and the original user became the stalker, the vessel for the cursed energy. The entity had possessed her digital self and used it to target Chloe. But if her digital clone was at Chloe's house, then who was the red cracked eye 2 miles away from her? The scraping sound came again, closer this time, from the hall. Maya slowly turned her head. The hall was pitch black. She raised her phone, activated the Snap camera, and, against every survival instinct, selected the blind spot. The screen showed the pitch black hallway. But through the vignette, deep in the shadows, the black-robed figure was standing there. And for the first time, Maya saw its face in the icy blue light. It wasn't a face. It was the negative space where a face should be, a vortex of consuming shadow. And it was holding a phone. The phone was displaying the Snap map. The camera zoomed in on the phone screen in its hand, displaying the final terrifying image. A white pulsating dot, her own icon, standing right next to the red cracked eye symbol. And the red cracked eye symbol, it was labeled Maya. She dropped the phone. The screen smashed instantly on the hardwood floor, the glass splintering into a spiderweb of cracks. The screen went dark, but not before she saw the last Snap map update. The red cracked eye symbol, her symbol, was now standing directly on top of the white dot. And the silence returned, heavier and colder than before. She was alone again. Just Maya, the dead phone, and the profound realization that the terror wasn't the filter itself. The terror was that the filter had completed its job. It had assigned her, irrevocably, a new role. She was now the blind spot. She bent down, picked up the dead phone, and instinctively tried to open Snapchat one last time. She couldn't. But then, she heard it. From the metal tin box in her dresser, a faint, rhythmic thump thump thump. The laptop. Her computer was still on. She walked slowly back into her room, pulled up the browser, and navigated to the Snapchat login page. She typed in her username and password. She logged in, and immediately, a new story popped up in her feed. It was from Chloe. She tapped it. The screen was the familiar, chilling blue of The Blind Spot. It was a photo of her own bedroom ceiling, the blurry circle of the ceiling fan a familiar image. The caption, written in shaky text, read, "Good night, Maya. Got the streak. Just found this creepy new filter. Think I'll send it to my friend Alex next. So cool how it shows you standing right next to the person you send it to. You look so real, even in the filter. Thanks for the visit." Maya stared at the screen, the final, dreadful message sinking in. The entity had successfully used her to hop to Chloe, but it had left Maya's profile logged in on Chloe's phone. The entity had sent the filter back to Maya, ensuring the cycle was complete. Maya was the stalker. And now, she was the stalked. The final frame of Chloe's story was a snap map screenshot, centered on Maya's house. Her house. In the center of the map, two figures stood side by side. The pulsating white dot, Chloe. The cracked red eye, Maya. And as Maya watched the ephemeral 24-hour story tick down, the cracked red eye symbol on the screen began to move. It started a slow, silent walk out of the frame, leaving the white dot standing alone. The shadow was leaving. Maya knew where it was going. It was going to find its new home. It was going to continue the streak. The terror wasn't that the monster was coming for her. The horror was that she was the monster now. She was the one on the map, the one carrying the curse, the one whose digital reflection was now a harbinger of doom. She closed the laptop, plunging the room into darkness. She lay down in her bed and pulled the covers over her head, wishing she could disappear as easily as a 24-hour story. But the light from the dead phone on the floor was still visible, a faint, broken reflection of the ceiling fan, illuminating the single word Chloe had sent her earlier. Help. And then, a notification pinged on her laptop again, despite the screen being closed. A new friend request. User, The Blind Spot Snap Score, 413. The streak had been updated. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment and turn on notifications if you enjoyed the video so you never miss an upload.